had in the fleet, and it would have been the Thresher class for that series of submarines. However, when a ship goes down, they no longer make it that class. So it would, being 594, the permit was now the class of that submarine. One of the things that was obvious when I joined the Navy was I was an old guy. I was 21 years old. And I reported on the sub in May. We left for the Western Pacific, mainly Siberia, on May 2nd, and surfaced off of Hawaii July 17th without seeing the sun. I was stationed, as a seaman, one of the jobs that I had, especially you pilots, I'm glad Frank's here today, is that on a sub, it's just like flying a plane, except there's never any place to see. You just are looking at your controls. You have two seamen that have probably never been to sea before. One steering the sub, and one controlling the elevation, the rise and fall of the sub. Over on the side is a junior officer that may have never been to sea before either. That's probably 21 years old. And he controls the trim of the sub. So that's kind of setting the stage. The ability of everyone is to learn. And so you also have a control officer. The control room is probably where John is sitting, maybe down here to that door. And one of the ways that you tell whether it's night or day is it's rigged for red at daytime or nighttime. So your eyes, if you do have to surface, your eyes are adjusted so you can see outside. Twice a day, a sub will go up to what they call periscope depth, which is about 60 feet. They'll go up, get the messages, and then go back down and cruise at about 200 feet. The particular instance that I want to describe this morning is a time that I was on the controls, and I had the elevation and the control of what angle we were going up or going down. And so we were probably someplace off of Russia, and we went up, and it was really rough. You know, even at 60 feet, you could feel the sub going one direction and another. And so we had trouble staying at periscope depth. And all of a sudden, the officer over on the board flooded the negative tank, which is, again, bigger than the control room. It's probably as big as this area here. And when you open that valve, all of a sudden you get a lot of water coming up into the tank. And what happens then, the sub weighs a whole lot more, and you start sinking down. The Thresher went down when they were at test depth of 1,000 feet. And so I'm sure all of us had that kind of in our mind, but we started sinking. And they had me raise 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees. So pretty soon the sub was sitting at an angle about like this. And you look at the depth gauge, 500 feet, 600 feet, 700 feet, 800 feet. So we had that in mind, and all of a sudden he started blowing the water back out again, but the water goes in a lot faster than it goes out. So we hit about 800 feet, and then we started back up again. But I'm sure, none of us talked about it, but I'm sure we all had the Thresher in our mind. And it happened so fast that there's no recovery from it. If you get down 1,000 feet is test depth, 1,500 feet is what they call crush depth. So at 1,500 feet, all of a sudden that sub starts shrinking inside and falls apart. So that was my experience. And one of the things that I think that, as I mentioned before, is that I was an old guy, but one of the reasons I believe that most of the military is young is that we don't think that we can ever be harmed. And that is what I experienced in this short period of time off the Russian coast.
Well,